Welcome to Songwriter Trysts, the intimate connection between lovers of songwriting. We explore raw emotions and creative journeys that bring music to life. Whether you're a songwriter, a music lover, or just curious about the creative process, this is the place for you. If you're enjoying the podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe. Please leave a review and even share it with your friends. Your support helps continue to bring our inspiring stories and conversations to the world. Thank you for being a part of the Songwriter Trysts community. And if you'd like to get involved, contact us on songwritertrysts.com. Now, let's dive into today's episode and hear from the guest about their own songwriting journey. Welcome to a new Songwriter Tryst with Matt Oakley. So excited to have you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I like to start the podcast by getting the artist in their own words. Tell us, who are you and where do you come from?
Yeah, like you said, my name is Matt Oakley. I'm a country singer currently living over in Nashville, Tennessee. I bounced around a good bit through my life. My dad was in the Army, so I lived all over. I've lived in Virginia, Rhode Island, South Korea for a year. I went to school in South Carolina, to South Florida, but now I'm up here in Tennessee. So not sure how long I'll be here. I'm sure I'm bound to move again, but I'm doing the music thing, writing songs, putting songs out, doing shows, and life's got me in Tennessee right now.
That's amazing. Tell me what it was like being an Army brat. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, but we didn't have to travel. He finished his time before I was born. So what's that experience been like?
Yeah, so luckily my dad did a lot of his overseas, like he was stationed overseas before we were born mostly. We caught the tail end when me and my sisters were young, and he was in Korea. He was stationed in Seoul, and we lived out there when I was really young, but I remember all of it. It was my first year of school. It was preschool, and I remember he would drive me to preschool on his motorbike through this like South Korean city, and it was like crazy to go from that to then moving to the States, and then joining the American school system and growing up in Virginia and moving around and having someone like my father who served constantly telling us right from wrong. So it was just, I'm grateful for it. It was, I feel like the values we were raised on is cool, but at the same time, it could be a strict household at times, but he was also good on letting us be ourselves. So I think that's what lended me to be comfortable doing something like music with my life. It just was comfortable in my own skin.
That's good. It takes a special set of parents to support their children in the arts. And I respect any parent that allows their child to be creative, because it's not that common, unfortunately. So
yeah, I feel like it's getting a little bit more common, especially with social media, but you're definitely right. And especially when you're younger, I feel like parents want to make sure that their kid has something stable that they're going into, and it can be not that they're shooting them down, but more so like worried about making sure they're okay for the future of their lives. But luckily for me, things have been working out.
That's good. All right. So tell me about, how did you get into music? What was the inspiration? When did it start for you?
I think I always carried this interest for it. I would always love to sing along to songs when we were in the car, or even if I'm just messing around I'm not classically trained in any instrument, but I taught myself how to play guitar, and I taught myself the basic chords on piano. I would just be around the house noodling with ideas and stuff. And then during quarantine, when we were locked in the house, I had nothing better to do. So I was like, all right, I can't go anywhere. I can't really do anything. Let me learn some songs on the piano. And I posted some out on social media, and it got like pretty good response rate and reaction rate for just being some basic videos that I wasn't taking too serious.
Yeah.
I think like 30, 40,000 views. And then overnight, some producers were hitting me up. Hey, let's make your own song. I started doing that. And then within 6 to 12 months, I just developed this like deep love for it that took my old love for music, and then this like competitive drive to figure out how much better I could get with it. And it's just kept going.
Wow. So you thought you'd just play around with it during COVID, and then you were approached by a producer and they like coached you and helped you get your own music out there. What was like, sounds like destiny almost, but and thank you to social media. But what was that experience like?
It definitely was like, so at the time I was running a landscaping company. I started it in high school and I ran it all through college. I had it for about 8 years. And when COVID happened, people still needed their grass cut. So I was still working. But I remember I posted that video maybe on a Friday night or something. And the next day I loaded up my trailer with all my mowers and I went out to cut the grass. And then I got that message from this guy and he was like, "Hey, I want to make you like a beat." And he was like, "I want to like see what you got as far as like your own ideas." And so I was like, "Yeah, cool. Send it my way." Went back to work. And then the next day I had another day of a full day of cutting lawns and he sent it over. And on my way home, I'm like covered in dirt and grass and my allergies are going crazy. And I played it and it was nothing crazy, but it was just cool that it was like, oh, this is like something I can mess around with and see if I can make my own music. And I went home and wrote some, I can't even remember what it was called or what it was, but I just remember in that moment, it was like, all right, there's people out there who are like, there's something here. And so I've been trying to dive in and figure out what that is. And it's just been a cool process.
So what's your songwriting process been like, or experience been like, from that first experience where I guess you were top lining over a beat that was already written to where you are now?
Now it's all ground up. You know, I'll pick up my guitar and I'll strum a few chords, or I'll see if I fall into any finger picking melody, or just maybe even just a melody in my head that I can have a more experienced guitar player come in and mesh with the vibe and we'll figure it out. And I do a lot of like group writing now with my closest friends. I got a kid, Justin, I live with, and a kid, Dylan, in their late 20s, early 30s. So not kids, but we just have like love for it that still feels youthful when we get into it. So it's cool to like get in the room, us three, or maybe we'll bring another guy or two into it and just figure out a cool vibe that we're feeling. And then I think the biggest thing now is like I try not to get in my own way. If we all like an idea, we just commit to making the song and we decide a week later if we like it or don't like it. We don't try and figure it out too much in the moment. We just ride the wave and let the song be the song. And if it's worth putting out, then we put it out. If it's not, then we don't. And that's what my looks like now.
Wow. So that's been like a massive journey from just having a go. Are there any sort of things that you've learnt now that you go, that's something that you're always using that you wish you had known sooner?
Yep, 100%. I would say that one thing is like authenticity. I think in the beginning, I was trying to write a song that I thought people were going to like. I was like, what do I think people might like? And what melody do I think they might like? Or what words? Or what kind of beat or acoustic or full production or even pop style? It was like, what do people want? Versus now, it's what do I want? What do I want to, like 30 years from now, sit down with my kids or my grandkids and be like, this is what I did with my life. And this was like who I was. And I didn't want that to be something that was a version of me that was chasing what I thought people might like or might not like. So now it's just, what do I think is authentic to me, stories based on my own life, and what do I think sounds good? If I can go on my Spotify or my Apple Music and play one of my songs and I really love it, that's all that I really care about anymore. So I would say the earlier you can learn that as a songwriter and an artist, the better, because then you start honing your own sound and that's when you can really make it your own.
I love that. What song have you got out at the moment you'd say is like the closest that you've been able to achieve with what's already out there?
Yeah, I'd say probably the one that I dropped most recently, and we touched on things in the beginning of this, but it's called Soldier Son.
Yeah.
And it's a tribute to my dad, and it's a tribute to Gold Star families who have lost loved ones in combat. And it's basically just how, from my perspective, what it was like to grow up with my father being in the Army for 22 years and all the people that he's allowed me to meet and the fundraisers we went to and the charities that he's a part of, and ultimately performing this original song that I had at a USA convention. It was just like, it was so authentic to me because it was just about my life and it was paying tribute to those who have served in the United States military. Yeah. And to see the reaction from people who have never met me and just are seeing me perform it for the first time was really awesome. And it's so true a form to who I am that it felt good to be out. So I'd say Soldier Son is the most just A to Z on me and my life. And
I love that. What's it like in America for the Defense Force? Because my last single was called The War That Stole My Daddy's Life, and it was about my dad being in the Vietnam War and the experience they had over here. And it was like just a personal experience. But over here, I didn't realize until I was doing interviews on radio that I'm like, this is actually quite a politically charged song. Not that I've realized that, but because it's not just the soldiers that are impacted, it is the family, the children, the wives, and all the pieces they have to pick up to support the soldiers that, you know, may be struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder from whatever it is that they've gone through. What's the support like in America? What in your area, what's that culture like?
Yeah, I'd say, and I'm not sure when it happened, and it's unfortunate that it did, but it's surprising to see that something as amazing as the men and women who serve this country has become a political concept or a political idea that politicians use as maybe and I don't want to even say they're, it's hard to find the words because you want to be delicate with this kind of stuff, but
Mm,
you don't, and I don't want to be political because I think that's not what this song was. It was just
mm.
I'm proud to be the son of a soldier, and I have realized that I played a festival called Patriots Fest this spring, and it was a non-political charged event. It was just we're here, we're going to play music, just a full day of good music and honoring our troops. There were veterans there. We had paratroopers flying in. It was amazing. It was an awesome
Yeah.
event. But a bunch of the feedback in the area was as if it was some super pro Republican, anti Democrat thing, and it's just not what it was. And so
Yeah.
it's hard to in this day and age get your point across without it being torn one way or another, good or bad. So it's one of those things where
Yes.
this was just written to be a thank you to those who serve, and that's what it is. And if anyone wants to say it's a politically charged song, that's more on them than it is on the
Right?
song. The song is the song,
It's
and that's what
unfortunate.
it is.
Yeah, mine was all about supporting the soldiers and separating the soldier from the political war agenda, I guess, can be hard, especially for those who aren't involved or don't know a personal friend or family member that has served. It's an interesting one, and it's so sad that that happens, and you can't control that. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Like we live in such safe, affluent countries that we should be grateful and support where the support is needed. Tell me about your influences. So if you could collaborate with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I've said in the past, so dead or alive, like someone to sit down with and have just like a musical conversation with, I think Elvis Presley would be my number one, just because he's so cool and he changed music and he was this icon. And I went to Graceland a couple years ago, and it was just so the aura around what he did in the music space is so cool. It would just be cool to sit down. But someone I'd want to collaborate with and like just sit down and write a song with would be like a Riley Green or a Luke
Okay.
Combs.
Yeah.
Those two are I put those two at the top of my wish list down the road once I'm making the rounds. I would love to sit down with someone like that and just write an authentic song talk about their life, talk about my life, and see what comes from it. It's a cool thing to think about and shoot towards. So I'd say Riley Green and Luke Combs would be the dream collaboration down the road.
All right, write that one down. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. Tell, tell me about,
Manifest.
yeah, just manifest it. That's exactly right. It's scary how well it works. What's probably been the biggest highlight, and then what's been the biggest low light?
To be honest, I think the biggest highlight, and this is going to be, I don't know if this is like a cheesy answer, but I'd say the biggest highlight would be just like this full acceptance that I've gotten to with myself, where it's like, this is what I do, this is what I love doing. Whereas in the beginning, it was a lot of, I wonder what people will think. I wonder if it'll be supported. I wonder if people think it's good. I wonder if people think it's bad. I don't care anymore. This is what I love to do, and this is where God has me in my life, and it's what I believe I'm supposed to be here doing, and I love doing it. And the people I'm doing it with are incredible people, and my life's been so much better since that acceptance point. And so I think that's the biggest highlight of this whole journey is it's not, I've done big shows that I've been super proud of. I've written incredible songs that I'm super proud of. But I would say the biggest thing is like when I wake up and go to bed and I'm able to, come into my home studio in Nashville. If a 15-year-old me could see this, he'd think I'm the coolest person ever. And so that's the kind of,
That's good.
and I'm not like that. This is me saying I'm not the coolest person ever, but that version of me would be so happy with who I am now. And
That's
so
so good.
I'd just say that moment would be the acceptance of this is what I do and I'm proud doing it would be the biggest highlight. I'd say the low light would be, it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like nowadays social media is such a powerful tool, but you have to almost have a presence outside of music, and the music can't just be this artistic thing that's good or bad. You've got to package it with the right brand and the right videos, and it makes it challenging and it makes it fun and it makes it cool, and you got to figure out what people like and don't like. Maybe 50 years ago when it was just the music's the music and you play it on the radio and you like it or don't like it, I don't think we're there anymore. So trying to navigate that has been a little bit difficult, but we're working on it. So
I find it so hard. I'm not a fan of posting social media content 3, 4, 5 times a day If I've got a show on or if I've got new music coming out, like that's completely different. I'll flood you with content and I'll just share everything. But if I haven't actually got anything to share because I'm in the creative process, I'm like, here's a coffee.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say.
I think that's a good thing, and I don't get necessarily hounded about it, but I'm not the best about posting, like you said, 2-3 times a day. I'm maybe 2-3 times a week at best if I can sit down and find stuff. But a lot of that was because, you know, the last year and a half has been solely dedicated to being creatively all in on this project, this album that we're writing. And now that it's finally done and turned in, I'm looking back on it like, damn, I don't have enough content about these songs. So we've got to start churning the butter on getting content and getting videos and getting pictures and getting all this stuff out to put behind this project. And so it's a learning process, but we're getting there.
What's the next big thing that we should all be looking out for that we should see coming from Matt Oakley?
Yeah. So one thing that I'm really excited about is, I mentioned it briefly earlier in this talk, but I performed an acoustic version of my newest single, Soldier Son. It was at the AUSA Sunbelt chapter event, the 249th birthday for the United States Army. And they invited me to play Soldier Son before it was even out, but they had gotten a hold of it. And I sat at this table with veterans and a table away from my father and my little sister. And I went up there and in front of hundreds of people, was able to perform a song. And afterwards, I met a bunch of Gold Star families, and we captured that all on video. And that video of that event and the acoustic performance will be coming out shortly in a few weeks. You can find it on my YouTube and keep up to date on Instagram or TikTok, just at Matt Oakley Music. But that coming out paired with mid-October, I'm doing the national convention now for AUSA. So there's going to be thousands of people there, and they invited me to play the song there. So super grateful. And I'm super excited to be able to, you know, tribute this song to the military in front of more military members and families. And just, it was a really cool thing I got to be a part of, and I'm super grateful to be a part of it next. So I try and post content as I can. Like we said, it's hard today and age, but I'll be posting videos and snippets of that on my socials. So
this is all content. Everything is content.
Yeah.
I'll share it with you. You can fill in some of the gaps. Thank you so much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of your links and there'll be a blog on the website, songwritertrysts.com, with this podcast, but it'll also have any way that people can follow you, listen to your music, and just keep up to date with what you're doing. Is there anything else you would like to share with other songwriters or fans of your music out there that are listening now?
I just say tap in and see if you like it. If you like it, keep listening. If you don't, if it's not for you, then that's that. But I just think that there's so much music out today where I'm excited to continue to put out more and be a part of that. So if you want to hear more of my music, you can just find me. Like you said, you're going to share some links. So it's just Matt Oakley Music on everything.
I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And it's so weird, but I have a sense of pride. Like, I'm proud of what you're doing. And I don't know, that's weird. I'm like a mum. So I don't know if that's like some mummy love, but I just think that it's important to get it there and say thank you to the soldiers and people who have served, because it is such a thankless job. And I think it's incredible. And well done for your parents supporting you and actually having the courage to go out there and give it a go. You're giving it a really good go and you're creating something amazing. So I do think you've got some sort of anointing over you that's just going to get you writing a song with Luke Combs. Sure, it won't be long. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And we'd love to keep up to date with everything you're doing and supporting you as much as we can.
Yes, thank you for the support and thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into Songwriter Trysts, the intimate connection between lovers of songwriting. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained some inspiration from our guest's story. Be sure to visit our website at songwritertrysts.com, where you can find live events, get feedback on your own songwriting from professional songwriters, and explore opportunities like our songwriting retreat on the Gold Coast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more lovers of songwriting. Thanks again for being a part of Songwriter Trysts community today, and we'll see you in the next episode.